refilling, hand in hand, toe to toe, in a soothing by and by. We go through your day, keeping you updated with developments around your world and your endeavors. You're better off with CEMTV. As your cheerleader, in your little winning steps, we've got your back when you're down. We lift your spirits and your sights beyond your limitations towards horizons of possibilities each day portends. With a pat on your back, we nudge you on to never think less of yourself. Go do your best daily, leave the rest. At the end of each day, we urge you, do not give up on yourself. Do not give up on life. Anything is possible. You are going somewhere to happen one day. And when the day winds down, when you need a reliable arm of information and entertainment, welcome home to CEMTV. It's all about you.
In-depth analysis and dissection of news that matters. It's today's news surgery on the CEMTV Morning Pulse. Stay with us. In-depth analysis and dissection of news that matters. It's today's news surgery on the CEMTV Morning Pulse. Stay with us.
Backward. Is this okay?
It's a beautiful morning. 29 days already gone for the month of June, and for some of us it is a celebration of God's grace and the different achievement that we've been able to make. Looking back on the list of things we wanted to achieve for the year 2026. For others, it is a moment of deeper self-reflection, looking at the things we set out to achieve, our inactions that has led us to not being able to achieve these set goals, dreams, and aspiration. But regardless, there is still hope because we have 6 more months left in the year 2026 to be able to meet up, because the God of restoration and compensation is still very much active for those of us who believe in Christianity. But whether or not you're a Christian, there is always hope, because as long as there is life, there are rooms for improvement. Good morning. Welcome to CEMTV News Surgery. My name is Francis Oyima Edet, and I'm excited as always to welcome you to the dynamic family on the CEMTV News Surgery crew. Of course, I'll always like to start with the spies that we have in our midst, talking about the only lady in the midst of two gentlemen. Good morning, Barrister Christine. How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you. Good morning, Francis. Happy New Week.
Happy New Week.
Actually, the last week of June.
I think I know where the excitement is coming
I'm
from.
not excited because it's my birth month and it's gradually fading out. So, you know.
So sorry. You know, some ladies, every day their birth month is their
Yes, I'm so sad.
I'm suspicious.
Of course, the uncle of Dabs, Emma, good morning, Happy New Week.
Good morning. How was your weekend?
I tried to have a refreshing weekend. I tried. The most I
Looking
could.
at your glowing. Both of you glow alive. In this season, at least it tells us that there's hope in Nigeria. So my motivation for everyone is nations are built by people. And then in turn, the nation makes people. So you build your nation first, and then your nation will in turn make you. By thinking right, talking right, and acting right. Start now for the change you want to see.
Start now for the change you want to see. Perhaps that is why our first conversation this morning, and we will be engaging our guest who is yet seated, and we will be welcoming him to also share his thoughts on this issue. Would be the Nigeria's economy under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. 3 years already gone for a president who said he was prepared to lead Nigeria, and he has spent 20 years of his political career and his career in the leadership cycle to prepare for the single responsibility of leading Nigeria out of the myriad of challenges and problems that it has been facing as a country for the past years. Sadly, for most Nigerians, after 3 years as the number one man and the man who holds the baton, the caveat, and the weapon to determine whether or not Nigeria becomes a better society, Nigeria becomes a better state in terms of the economy, infrastructure, security, and every sector of the Nigerian economy. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu seems to have failed, according to most Nigerians and the common men particularly, because the cost of living, how much we're paying for food, how much we're paying for fuel, and other daily consumables, including medication, has not changed in any way, but rather we've continued to see an inflation, we've continued to see the high cost of living, we've continued to see more Nigerians, millions, being further pushed into multi-dimensional poverty. And the question comes back to, how has the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration fared, given the wealth of natural resources that God has blessed us with as a country? What are the challenges and how can we change the narrative? But primarily, we are going to narrow down our focus into the Nigeria's blue economic sector. How have we fared? Have we been able to, as a country, tap into these natural resources? Because if you trace from the different creeks within the Niger Delta region, the river has always been a source of livelihood to millions of Nigerians and within the continent of Africa. But so far, historical data has proven that as a country, we are yet to tap and fully, or even to a large extent, harness these resources for our collective wealth and development. And so on that note, I'd like to introduce to you our guest, who is a business educator, an entrepreneur, and of course an expert in marine and blue economy. He's a critical stakeholder in the port ecosystem and a business analyst. He has a whole lot and has done a whole lot for Nigeria, from the academic environment to the business world, among others. Join us, make welcome on CEMTV News Surgery for today, Dr. Babalola James Olatunde. Good morning. Welcome to our show.
Good morning, sir. It's nice to be here.
Good to have you, Doctor. And I must say, you look younger than you know. You look younger in person than you look in picture. So you're photogenic.
Well, if you say so, but to me, I think it's the glory of God.
Okay.
Good to have you join us.
Thank you very much.
So I'll start with getting your comment. The whole of the weekend, the social media has been awash with different memes created by thousands of Nigerians on Facebook, on Instagram, on X. And it all comes from the comment that our very own First Lady Oluremi Tinubu made, that the administration of her husband and she herself have done so much to lift Nigerians out of poverty. And then she further went ahead to say that she, for instance, has invested into thousands of Nigerian women to start up akara business and kuli business, or you know, whether it's selling of banana and plantain on the streets or hawking groundnut. These are things the administration of her husband and she herself has personally committed to help lift Nigerians out of poverty. She went further to say that she and her household grew from selling akara and kuli and the rest of hawking in the streets to be where they are today.
The First Lady.
And the Nigerians reacted. The first concern was, compared to how you started, First Lady, what was the Nigeria's economy as at then and today? And when you talk about giving women 20,000 naira to start a business, please tell us, in terms of akara. I know I grew up from an environment, my mother was into akara business. And I know that beans alone, this very moment, to buy beans is a big problem. To buy the groundnut oil that you use in frying the akara.
It's expensive.
Talk more of the different ingredients that will help make the akara, you know, delicious enough for people to bypass others and come to you. 20,000 cannot start that business. So my question to you, how would you react to this comment coming from the First Lady?
Well, I agree with your analysis, and looking at time and season, the 20,000 naira by value will not be good enough for any starter pack for anybody, no matter how little the business will be. But considering the economic situation of Nigeria right now, but I think I want to say one thing, that the First Lady was quoted out of context. Yeah, and why do I say this? You see, Nigeria, we are a very funny set of people, as a country. We like to make jokes out of everything, either for good reasons or for bad reasons, I will not know. But I insisted that First Lady is quoted out of context.
How so?
The intention perhaps were to gear people up to do one or two things to support themselves and support their families. So the expression of kuli kuli, myself, I grew up in the north. I was born in the north. I grew up in the north. I sold kuli kuli, I sold kerosene while growing up.
Okay.
So it's not a new thing. To me, it's not even an advice. It's just for you to do something. Perhaps maybe First Lady should restrain herself from such comments next time, because people will always quote her out of context. Why? I will tell you the reason. The reason is people are not that comfortable with the government. Why? Because what seems to be a relief to them is not forthcoming. And Nigerians love short-term relief instead of long-term. And if we look at the economic policy of this administration, I'm not a spokesman of the administration, but I must say this to the whole world to hear it. Long-term programs, people must suffer. There must be difficulty. There must be hardship. But people have to bear those pain, and those pain too, there must be provision to cushion the pain on the part of government, which is not forthcoming, and that is why people are complaining.
But if you say the First Lady was just saying people should get into doing something, you sold kerosene while growing up.
Kuli bread,
beautiful. I love kuli, by the way. Growing up, taking it to school. Let's not take that brother for granted. You know, stating it back when the what's it called, the Osun State, where the children were abducted and the teachers. First Lady didn't come out to say anything on record. Now the people were expecting the First Lady of Nigeria to sympathize, say something, because she is a mother first and a wife before occupying that seat as a First Lady of Nigeria. But we didn't see anything. Rather, we saw a video that was circulating around where she said she's a career woman, she likes doing her thing, you know, on the ground, like she's silent, but she does wonders without even coming out. Now, that wasn't the story Nigerians were expecting to hear from the First Lady. Now, you say in this new era of change, the economy is blooming up. We're seeing difference in money, in our currency, everything is flowing, but yet the people are impoverished in poverty. They are not seeing something physical, and you're not giving them anything to support. I mean, when was the last time they sent grant for an ordinary Nigerian, let's say housewife and the rest of it? Now, if you come down to say kwili and akara, this is not what Nigerians want to hear. With all due respect, it sounds insensitive, because you're telling us to go to the street and fry akara. How much is a bag of beans? And have you given enable environments for these people to fry the so-called akara or the kwili? What is that thing you put aside to help ordinary citizens in the country? That's what the people want. Not saying she's being quoted out of context. You know, this is not what Nigerians are looking forward to hear. So do you think Nigerians are happy with the First Lady?
Yeah, ordinarily, Nigerians, from the reactions in town and everywhere, even on the social media and all that, seems Nigerians are not happy.
Okay.
And I do not blame Nigerians for not being happy or to be happy with what is happening. Nobody like to suffer. Nobody like to suffer. On the issue you quoted, she might be doing a lot behind the scene, which we might not know, because I'm not in Aso Rock. I don't know whether she's really doing or not.
Okay.
But the fact is, whatever you do, if it does not translate into something positive outside,
that's what we're
people will not give you the credit.
True.
But whether you do or you do not, and the policies of government translate into good result outside, then you don't even, nobody need to sing praises of you. The moment question are asked, everybody, it's okay, I'm okay. True. But that is not the situation right now.
Okay.
You know, when we mix sentiments, I want to avoid mixing sentiments with reality.
All right.
Because in Nigeria, we do sometimes and most times mix sentiments with reality. For us to face the reality on ground, we begin to come from a sentimental angle of, oh, this supposed to be this supposed to be that. Yes, looking at all, that's why we have alternatives and strategies of achieving things or doing things that may better the lives of the people. What I think we should look at, what are the strategies of government in order to bring relief to the people, instead of commenting or making it look so criminal or so offensive, the statement of a first lady. To me, it's my own opinion anyway.
Right.
I did not condemn the first lady totally.
Okay.
Why do I say this? She encouraged people to do business.
Which is akara and kuli kuli.
Is the form of business.
How much is a bag of beans? How much is a keg of groundnut oil? Let's say 5 liters.
You know, from what she said, an extra from what she said, she does not expect you to buy a bag of beans. Maybe perhaps a custard rubber of beans or one or two, which is about 7,000-8,000 thereabout.
Okay.
And out of your 20,000, minus 8, you have 12. You can buy 2 bottles of groundnut oil. Maybe you start
but where are you getting the 20,000 and starting from firewood when bandits are taking over Nigeria to start with? Why are they going to fetch the firewood?
I want you to look at it from an entrepreneurial point of view.
Yeah.
There are businesses that you can start with 20,000, but it's no longer in today's generation and not with today's economy. If the first lady had spoken about maybe 100 or 200,000 for an akara business or a quickly business, Nigerians would not react. Because every entrepreneur who seriously and genuinely wants to do something with his or her hand would understand that 200,000 is enough to help me start an akara business. It's enough to help me start a kuli business. I have interacted with entrepreneurs from around Nigeria, and I know that this money is enough. But our government, from time immemorial, will always give 20,000, 50,000, and then will spend millions for the fanfare of presenting 20,000 to Nigerians in the names of business empowerment. When we know that business empowerment, that 20,000 cannot even take that entrepreneur from his house to the market and bring that person back with up to 5 or 10% of what the person needs to start the business. So the concerns of Nigerians is in the insensitivity of the first lady to not understand that, yes, while Nigerians want to work, because yes, while I understand with you also that a lot of Nigerians are interested in the shortcut to wealth.
Yes.
There are also a majority of Nigerians who are genuinely willing to work. They're genuinely interested in getting into business.
Correct.
But they do not have the access to capital, which means if our government is sincere enough to stop dashing 20,000 in the name of business grant and look holistically to, setting up starter packs that can help take a business person from the ideation stage to the point of actually starting the business, Nigerians will appreciate it. That is where the criticism is coming in. But let's leave the first lady and the Nigerian situation, because whether or not we like it, we are assessing the Tinubu's administration, and come 2027, Nigerians will decide whether or not they've had enough. Let's come back to the issue of the Nigerian economy. Holistically, under the Tinubu's administration, how would you appraise our economy?
Well, 3 years is a long time, and 3 years is a short time also. And why do I say this? For an administration that has put all necessary strategies in place, 3 years is good enough to make things change positively. But we also look at, if you dissect the problems we have in Nigeria, it does not start just in Tinubu's administration. The problems have been accumulating over the years. And even in surgery, when you do surgery for surgeons, it's layer by layer. And you take one layer after the other, at least strategically. But when that is not done, or when there is a mistake in the line of surgery, then the whole thing you have done will collapse, or there may be no result. So in this case now, I think 3 years is good enough to assess Mr. President, but at least also 3 years is not good enough. I don't know if you catch my statement.
Sure.
Why? The reason is, Nigerian problem did not start today or before the administration of Tinubu. There has been a lot of problems. And then some problems get to the high stage of being multiplied, even as like the insecurity. Sometimes you might look at it and there are a lot of things in the social media that the insecurity might be a way of sabotage or whatever. That is what people allege. Whether yes or no is left for government to really stick out that, because they should have provided all the necessary formulas on how to go by all those things. What concerns you and I in this as citizen is the state of the economy. If the state of the economy is so buoyant that everybody is okay, nobody cares what happened in government. Because look at Babangida days. He has ways and means of reaching out to people in diverse ways, and he distracts your attention from even looking at what government is doing. Because when he gives a debate and you are busy making out resources to attend to that debate and all this and all that, he carry out what he want to do at the background, and everybody go over it.
But that was during the military regime, though.
Yes, that was military regime, but now under the democracy we have freedom, and I think that is why we are able to speak out as we do right now. And I believe that freedom will not be taken out of context also, because things have modeled up before this administration. We should appreciate that.
True.
And I know what is shortcoming is just the strategy to make sure that things go well. And I believe with time we will get there. It's a work in progress.
Okay. The blue economy industry globally has been projected to earn about $3.3 trillion by 2030. In Africa, it's close to $300 billion. In Nigeria, about $40 billion. Nigeria's geographic location is less than 1,000 square kilometers, with about 13% taking care of the marine and the blue economy. If you look at how Nigeria has been borrowing under this government and successively, and you look at the potentials in this industry, in the blue economy industry, what is the disconnect where other nations, in the top 10 nations, in Africa, Nigeria is number 5. In the top 10 nations, you find smaller countries than Nigeria harnessing the blue economy. If you talk of large artificial wind farms, solar farms, hydro farms, marine foods, shipping, Nigeria has been lacking. Yes, the Ministry of Blue Economy and so forth, they have their plans, but there's always a disconnect. So you find beautiful plans in projections, visions, policy statements, but government after government, we don't harness it. Because in that industry alone, I believe it can create massive jobs, help the different tiers of government boost their IGR, and then have enough money to deliver the deliverables in terms of public service. You have been in that industry for a long time. What is this disconnect? Because the more we have into our GDP, rather than just making statements, rhetorical, optical statements, the better for Nigeria.
Thank you very much for this question, and my answer will be like this. You see, the issue of blue economy, Nigeria and Nigerians have been participating in blue economy projects even before the blue economy itself was brought to the limelight per se. Okay. Because coastal activities of fishing, water transportation, and extractive industry, they are all part of the blue economy, which we should all know and appreciate. We have been doing some measures of blue economy before this time. Now that the blue economy has come to the forefront, what needs to change is the strategy to make it sustainable. When we talk about sustainability of blue economy, you can't sustain blue economy without infrastructure, and that is the disconnect. The infrastructure of blue economy are not available, or the ones that are available right now are not adequate. We just do an aspect of blue economy. Our emphasis in Nigeria is on marine transportation, which is shipping, port and terminal operation, which is to accommodate the vessels for loading and unloading. Then we have the extractive industry, which is the oil and gas. We treated oil and gas separate from blue economy. It's an aspect of blue economy because that is the downstream extractive industry. Now, emphasis on that, and we monopolize that. We make that as the core and neglecting other sectors. They go hand in hand. Whatever you extract from the oil and gas, you need the shipping to move it. You need ships to move it from one place to another. And volume of good can only be moved by ship, not by railway, and not by road transport. And where are the connecting points? Intermodal transportation, which need to be, the infrastructures need to be put in place. Port Harcourt Port is not connected to the railways. Lagos Port is not connected, but now they are trying to do something. Perhaps if we have all this infrastructure in place, then the disconnect or the gap between blue economic sustainability and the practice itself will not be wide. At least they will be close enough for people to begin to reap the benefits. And I tell you this, the blue economy has the capacity to generate not just jobs, but generate satisfaction for everybody. All this while they are talking about kulikuli and akara. If we have our ports working and we have everything connected. The blue economy is interwoven. It has other complements around it to make it work. If you have all those things that complement the blue economy in the infrastructures in place, then we will not lack jobs for Nigerian youth. We will not lack creation of, at least everybody will be satisfied. And then what we'll be talking about is how would our National Assembly represent us well and bring in projects to this place. That will have been our focus. But right now, the infrastructures of the blue economy is not adequate where they are, and they are not modernized. So we have a lot of challenges. Even with the national single window that is coming up, I foresee challenges in the national single window because of the network service provider in this country. Their services are not adequate. Their services are not good enough. How can you transfer volumes of data within seconds or within some minutes? Transact your business freely from the comfort of your home or your office, to transact your business without moving here and there, cutting off human interface, cutting off easy ways of corruption. But when the data service is not adequate also, then how can you achieve the national single window?
Speaking of blue economy, you mentioned port, Lagos port,
yes,
Port Harcourt port, and the rest of it. What does it take for Port Harcourt and other states to have a functionable port that will make things easy for an ordinary Nigerians? Because so far as what we know, Lagos is the only place that is boozing. And you know what? MPA was still there, alive, fish and the rest of it. Things were easy. What can we do to better our port system?
You see, good question. The issue of ports and the blue economy per se is no longer on the exclusive list. Nigerians should know this. It is now on a concurrent list that even local government can participate. So, and I think that is why sometimes presidency will say, go and ask your governor, go and ask your chairman, go and, yeah, because a lot of money has been given to them. Yes, we appreciate it, but what have they done with the money is another question. They should focus on investing in this blue economy. This is the low-hanging fruit we have in Nigeria in creation of jobs and to better the life of the people.
And yet we're not tapping.
And yet we have not done anything as far as blue economy is concerned. We have not done anything. You see, what does it take to link the ports with rail lines? Before now, Port Harcourt has rail lines linking the ports, but you can't find them anymore. What happened to it? No monitoring. If you monitor, you do not modernize.
Could this be as a problem of continuity in government?
There is no continuity. There is no continuity. Every government and every administration want to do something different.
My problem, exactly.
And that is it. Look at the blueprint. There are strategies. Before something is being put in place, there are blueprints being drawn out. There are consultants who work on those things. If you don't know, call them. What have you done before? Where did you stop? Where are we now? Then you know where to start from. But that is not forthcoming in most of the administrations. Everybody want to appoint, and we politicize everything in this country.
Sure.
If you are my party member, I win election, because you work for me, I must put you in a place where that is juicy and which can make out something. And at the end of the day, you might not have the good knowledge of running that particular office.
Because they are not qualified.
That is the major problem. That is a problem.
So, still talking about infrastructure, Doctor. In Nigeria, politics has taken over the place of competence, the place of professionalism, the place of justice and fairness. For instance, right now in Akwa Ibom, there is a war ongoing between the Oro people and the executive governor of the state, Pastor Moino. And what are those concerns? Across Nigeria, the experts in the maritime industry have all agreed that Ibaka is a natural harbor.
Yeah.
And it has been cited for the Ibom Deep Seaport, or Ibaka Deep Seaport. Now the state government wants to change the name to Ibom Deep Seaport. The people have said there's no problem. But in citing the seaport, let it be where we know you don't have to dredge a portion and then now find where to abandon or dump those dredge sands or whatever will be dredged out from those environments.
Yeah.
Put it in the natural harbor, the natural environment that it was cited, and every expert in this country knows. But the government wants to take it from the natural environment and go find a place that is not suitable naturally and now not artificially make it suitable, so that every year we now talk about money to dredge the environment. And the government is coming out to say, oh, the people are against progress and development. So, my question, in a country that we see politicians speak from both sides of the mouth, I want to give my people development, but politically, the interest of the people is not the interest of my political godfathers and even my own personal interest. Is there a possibility of a country like ours ever growing in terms of building the right infrastructure, putting in the right environment for the blue economy to grow? Because like my colleague said, Port Harcourt is a state that is blessed with water, resources.
Yeah.
Fishing has been happening. I grew up in an environment where fish or fishing was a key part of our livelihood. But today those things are no longer there. And it all comes down to government's inability to prioritize natural environment. For instance, the only source river where we used to fish as a child, I grew up fishing from that river, and I know that I sold a lot of fishes from that river to even support myself and my family. A lot of our community members had that same environment. But today that river is no longer accessible because the government says let's dredge sand from it, and today it has become something different.
Yes.
And that is the same thing that is happening across the different states of the Federation. How can we solve this drama?
Yes, thank you very much. Like you have rightly explained, and solving this is not, we do not need rocket science at all.
Fact.
Solutions are at the tips of our fingers. There are professionals, there are noblemen who are into this business and who knows what to do. The only thing is just invite these people to come, give them the opportunity to explore the area and bring out the best out of it. But governments in their wisdom, they always want to be at the forefront. You being at the forefront as government, yeah, is good, but just to create enabling environment. When the enabling environment is not there, then who will go to stick out his neck to do the job? That's one point. Second point is also funding. For me, I have the knowledge, I don't have the fund. If I can be funded, there are a lot of things we can do.
But you can be funded through Akaran Kwili.
How many years can we generate?
Now you're talking. Now let's go back.
Sorry, Doctor.
Thank
Funding.
you. So you see, I've mentioned two things: expertise, funding, and then government creating enabling environment. If we have those three put together, we'll have good results everywhere. Particularly, the blue economy is like a starter pack for a nation that is willing to develop, that is willing to grow, that is willing to create employment, that is willing to sustain our ecosystem. The blue economy is just like a starter pack, but the right things need to be done at the right time. We are not wasting time. Even now is the right time for us. It's just to make the proper investment and everything will come back to place. But how do we do this when politicians are in charge? When you politicize everything. Even when I know the Minister of Water Resources should be someone who have knowledge of water engineering,
okay,
and I put a medical doctor there, then how should I expect result?
Good question.
And if you look at the Ministry of Education, whom education is supposed to be the head, and I want to bring in maybe a lawyer or somebody from a known background to come and rule education, what should we expect? So we must learn to put the right people at the right place.
On this question you're asking, sir, do you think there's a possibility where we'll have professionals in a place they ought to be, away from politics?
Of course, yes. Of course, yes.
Will that ever happen in Nigeria?
Well, I hope it will happen.
Oh.
I hope it will.
And still talking about infrastructure, one of the key areas that has really also contributed or affected, the development of the blue economy is the lack of security in our waterways. Every now and then, I think this year we've not really recorded, those press releases that used to come in 2024 and 2025 after the president came on board. Every year you literally hear the Nigerian military kidnapping or bunkering, the bombing of illegal bunkering sites and all of that. Kidnapping, sea pirate has been the order of the day. You will find we have navies, we have the navy ships, and even in the coastal areas linking Calabar, Cross River State and Akwa Ibom State, we see a lot of kidnapping. And sometimes, as journalists, when you go undercover to investigate, you discover that this kidnapping happens just about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 meters away
security personnel,
from where the naval warships are stationed or the police warships are stationed. And then you ask the question, how committed is Nigeria to solving security along the waterways? Because when the security along our waterways is not also guaranteed, it is still going to be a problem towards developing the blue economy we're talking about.
Definitely, because the issue of ecotourism, which is an aspect of blue economy that has never been tapped in this country cannot come to fruition if we still have persistent insecurity on the waterways. And the insecurity on the waterways for now supposed to be a thing of the past, because federal government, in their wisdom, they've invested a lot in terms of security, acquiring security assets to monitor the waterways. And I don't know how the command is being operated. It involved Nigerian Navy and some top NIMASA officers in charge of that monitoring of the Nigerian waterway from the coast of Nigeria down to that of Guinea. And definitely of recent, we do not have much of those international piracy as an attack, but within the coastal areas, we have what they call sea robbery, because there is difference between piracy and sea robbery.
True.
Yes, those ones that happen on the high sea is known as piracy, and the ones within our coastal waters, they are just mere sea robbery. So there are two different things. What we see more now is of sea robbery than hijacking of vessels and piracy attack on the international waters, which means efforts need to be emphasized or increased in order to monitor and patrol our waterways, particularly the coastal areas, so that the sea robbery thing will be a thing of the past. And you know, it's not only Nigerian Navy that is involved in this. We'll also have the Marine Police.
True.
The Marine Police in Port Harcourt here, I believe they have a lot of assets, but whether they are using them, I don't know. If you go to Abonima Wharf, where they have their office, you see a lot of craft lying down there. Whether they are seized, whether they are the ones that police are to use for patrol, or whether they are the ones they seize from bunkerers, I don't even know, because there are no means by which you can identify which one is functional, which one is not functional, which one is belonging to Marine Police, and which one is just the one they just arrested. So they're just lying down. The crafts are there, but do you see the people patrolling? That question I leave for the
you know, we have Tantita, we have the army, we have the police. No, they are still on. They are still on the sea.
They have sectors where they
creating all of this. Now, the last time I traveled to Bonny, that's 4 years ago. What I encountered, it was just by the grace of God. Till today, I can't travel to Bonny by sea. Now, if you don't have money or someone to sign in LNG boat, you cannot travel, which makes the government to establish the Bonny Road. At the end of the day, women in Bonny are crying. We're running out of business because we're not safe. So who do we call on? The governor or the presidency?
Well, in this aspect, I think the C4I that is being activated by federal government they signed. Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy signed an MOU with the Nigerian Navy, to the best of my knowledge, and they established a command center called C4I.
I'm aware.
The C4I is to monitor the international waters and also part of the coastal waters. You know, the way the military work, they have rules of engagement.
True.
If you ask them to focus on international waters, they will. And then whatever happened within the other aspect that is outside of their scope, not that it's not of their concern, but they cannot act otherwise because of their scope of duty. So I think federal government and state government should come together in this area and expand the scope of operations so that they can cover the nitty-gritty of the coastal part, so that we can have this safety and then we are secured.
Okay. Still talking about the blue economy adding to our GDP. When I look at some records and I see figures, they blow my mind. For instance, Nigeria's maritime sector has been projected to bring in about 2.2 trillion in 2026. And then you look at it that Nigeria spends about $1.2 billion to import fish, and we lose about $70 million to IUU on illegal, unreported fishing activities.
Yes.
Now, when you look at countries like China, which is like the leading fish producer in the world, our seafood industry, you look at smaller countries like Netherlands, Denmark, Mauritius, look at Israel, 10 million people. Israel has built an underground fishing seafood industry underground, because of course they know of the attacks
from neighbors.
So, and they're talking about overfishing. And they are pushing out about 1 million fish fingers out. So when you look at Nigeria having this projection and looking at the potential in the market, don't you think it is mismanagement. I like to put out these philosophical thoughts that some scholars have put out, that the difference between any two people and any two nations is what they know, what they can do,
yes.
and what they are willing to do.
Yeah.
Because if you look at these smaller countries, Israel, let's take Israel. I like Israel because of their disadvantaged topography. The Bible says it's a land of milk and honey, but it's actually a land of rock and desert.
Yes.
I have personally witnessed it. But the interesting, amazing thing is that in the midst of that desert, they are fulfilling the truth and the fact that if you use your head,
yes,
you can turn your disadvantage to advantage. Out of that desert, Israel has one of the best water systems in the world. They are salinating seawater.
Yes.
Out of that desert, they have one of the best agricultural systems in the world. They said they are partnered with Nigeria. I've not seen the impact. Out of that desert, they are now doing they have created artificial lake for fish in the desert. This is there. So, don't you think that those who are managing this country, for instance, I also do respect the First Lady when she says Akara business is a way to start. But I also think that it's a small-mindedness. Because if you create the enabling environment, it's basically for anybody to soar. It's not like you're training your child. The height your child will get to, you never can tell. Just train your child. So if you're thinking big and putting in the right things in the environment, anybody can prosper.
Exactly.
So don't you think that our managers of state, yes, it has to do with PPP, the private sector and the government sector. And in fact, Israel is a classical case. Because in Israel, every citizen has to go through the military.
Yeah.
The state provides basic things for them. Yet, it is still a good private businessman. It's not about mismanagement of the potentials in our blue economy that is denying us the gains, maximum gains therefrom.
Yeah, the blue economy will help us a lot in order to solve majority of our problems in this country, because the resources in the blue economy are inexhaustible, provided you work with it in a sustainable manner. And sustainability is even the major problem, because we have the resources, but they are not sustainable, meaning we do not work with them in order to allow them regenerate. For example, let's look at fishing, for example. Those of us who do local fishing, artisanal fishing, when you catch, there are some kind of species of fish you catch, you need to return them back to the waters. Yeah. Do we have such knowledge here? Our people, anything comes to your hook and net, you take and cook and eat. Then there are some kind of juvenile fish which you will catch, and you need to, because they are not matured yet.
It's not the absence of training and regulation. Because you know, there are, in civilized climes, there are people who regulate. If they see you catch certain size of fish, once you come to shore, they will arrest you. And there are those who protect the environment that will tell you, put it back.
But
to the sea.
In Nigeria, we do not have such regulations. Yes, and well, they are not illiterate per se. They
relatively illiterate.
Relatively,
yes.
Good.
Traditionally, they are literate. But Western, in terms of Western education, they are illiterate.
I beg to differ. Not all fishermen are illiterate, because
no, I'm not saying all. Generally speaking, okay, they don't understand these issues. We're talking like what we talked about, the siblings.
And the fish.
There's certain amount of fish, certain sizes of fish you catch.
You need to release them back to the waters.
Will you ask an hungry man to release the size of fish to water?
That is the problem. That is the problem. To him is an answered prayer. You caught something, at least you have something to eat with the family. And you know, tell him now to release those fish. What will you replace that with? Nothing. And that's one aspect. Then looking at the other aspect of the blue economy, like I said earlier, the blue economy is a low-hanging fruit for Nigerian, particularly considering our coastal environment and then the natural blessing that God has given unto us. The only thing is for us to explore this in a sustainable manner, and then we get everything done in a jiffy. And looking at these resources, Nigeria do not need to borrow money from anywhere.
What about the initial capital?
Initial capital to explore. You have the initial capital. Bring in expertise from outside. Okay, they will come with the expertise. They will come with their fund. For example, now you can invite China, give them an aspect of of our coastal waters, tell them what to do, write on an agreement, build, operate, and hand over. They will. See Rwanda. Rwanda was not built with the finances of local government or their federal allocation. It was built with collaboration with Japan and some other countries. They built all the infrastructures you are seeing in Rwanda today. Majority of it were done by the Japanese government.
Yeah, let me ask.
With Japanese money.
I mentioned that Israel has claimed, I've seen the report, that they are partnering with Nigeria. But why is it that we don't see the impact? Because I keep asking, I'm one person that is a proponent of international partnership. Because that's what life is. No country, not even China, that has everything. They partner with other people.
Yes,
but in Nigeria's case, we don't see the impact and difference massively. So I am saying, like our blue economy,
yes,
like Israel that is a master, why don't you bring them in fully and design rather than a Akara plan, you design a proper sustainable plan, sustainable program, and you invest heavily and people feel the impact.
Exactly. While I was growing up in the north, I just want a recap of that. While I was growing up in the north, during Shagari's administration, there's this project they call Baccalaureate Impress. And you know, part of Sokoto, then the larger Sokoto state, now KB Zamfara, was split out of it. Part of it, Baccalaureate is the name of a town where a project was cited, and Israeli were to handle that. What will they do? Wheat cultivation. The program then was that to enable Nigeria produce wheat locally and stop importation. That was as far back as Shagari's regime. Was that program sustainable? No. Israelis came, established the farm, but there was no continuity. The government, when the military came, everything stopped. Until today, I'm not sure if that site of Baccalaureate still remain as it were in those days. I'm not sure.
Let me quickly ask, because
and you can see there was no continuity of government.
My colleague asked, I most of that thought is the change of baton of public administration a bad thing? Because in Nigeria, it seems so. Like what you said, a government comes in with a beautiful plan. It's as if a plane wants to take off. Suddenly, it crashes. Suddenly, another government comes, as if it wants to take off, it goes down.
Yes.
And we, the people, suffer for it. But in other civilized climes, you see there's a trajectory. What is that thing put in place? Where plans for the people, where they understand that you are there to serve the people and you are accountable to the people, you are responsible to the people, and you have only one business to carry them progressively up and up and up, not going down.
Okay, I would like to answer that with an illustration.
Okay.
Just in our backyard here from Port Harcourt. Look at the state Abia State.
Okay.
What I'm trying to say is, let me just go straight to the point. Until we as a people of Nigeria are able to stop godfatherism.
Okay.
Politics.
Whereby you don't get into power cheaply.
No.
On recommendation.
Look at Abia State. Look at Abia State. The governor of Abia is of Labour Party.
Okay.
I don't know if you have changed, but at least
Labour Party is still Labour Party.
Labour Party brought him to power, not other parties.
Okay.
And as it stands, to me, he has no godfather. And you can see those changes were so rapid in Abia State that even people envy Abia State right now.
Clear.
Government, they lost for 24 years. Just within 3 years, Abia, they recover, and they are still recovering. And the man is still progressing. Steady power supply, roads, sanitation, everything. Area that you cannot go without nose mask before. Now it's free. The air is even freer than that we have here. But the truth is, what I'm trying to say is that man seemed to have no godfather. So he was able to put up projects and achieve them.
To serve the people.
In a place where you have godfatherism influence, as a godson, you must listen to your father. And when you listen to that, it will not be for the good of the people.
And if you don't listen to,
you have problems. So until we address that matter,
how do we better godfather? Because we had a question here, was it on Monday or last week? He also said the same thing. When allocation comes, there are inherent titles in it. Share to this, share to that. So by the end of the day, not doing anything for the people. Oh my God.
It's a sad narrative, Doctor, but let me take you to the fishing aspect.
Yes.
And the role of government, for instance. Again, I'll cite my origin. We come from an area that feeds a great percentage of the South with fish and seafood, all kinds of seafood, crayfish. You know, you'll always hear, oh, is it around crayfish or Cameroon crayfish and all of that?
Yes.
But if you visit that area, you would see that majority of people who are into the business are no longer people from the area.
Yeah.
They're foreigners. They're Ghanaians. They're Benin Republic. They're people from other countries who are in that area doing that business. And then the government, despite knowing the huge potential within that area, have not been able to invest in the locals to be able to, sustainably develop the people and the area. In the midst of that, we talked about endangered species and some species of fish. There is an area within the Oro axis that we have dolphins.
Okay. That means it's deep enough.
For the past 4 years, since the previous administration, the government have been talking about, having a designated no fishing area where these dolphins have been sighted over time. But from the first moment when that proclamation was made till today, even with the much talked about tourism development in the state, we have not seen issues like that being done. Just last year, I think around December last year, dolphins were caught. And it took the, should I call it the intervention of people who have watched dolphins being used as sports and games abroad to then say, oh, we have to return this fish back to the water.
Of course.
But by that time, it was already too late.
They have sliced it. Nigerians.
So how can government across the different states of the country do more than just talk and speech and photo ops and the media paparazzi to show that they're working, and actually get to doing the work that will bring about the change?
Yes, government on its own cannot, in most cases, implement all the changes that we wanted, but civil society and other individuals, well-meaning individuals, should please form more environmental core and try to educate our people, both at the rural areas and at the urban area, particularly in those environments, in the coastal environment. The civic line of education needs to change, and it has to be all-inclusive, so that at least educate the people on those things, that the do's and don'ts of sustaining the environment. I think it will go a long way in solving that problem.
Okay.
Yes, because the dolphin you mentioned can be used for as a source of entertainment in ecotourism. You create a place, a conducive environment, 5-star hotel, 3-star hotel, hospitality industry, and some of the related shows all come together, and people will come. Tourists will come. They will come and see this. This is what people pay a lot of money overseas to go and
it's not free.
So yeah, it's not free. And you see, we do not know how to relax in this country, and we do not emphasize relaxation as to encourage mental well-being. And if you walk, and you walk and fall down and die, is that not the end?
It is.
But we should create time to relax. And where would you want to relax in Nigeria? Is it in Port Harcourt, that we have so much of activities that are going on, and there is no even designated area where you can have that? Or where Obudu is being neglected because of insecurity? And then you look at other areas. If you go to Lagos, flood, ocean surge has taken over some things. People used to visit this Chevron site at Lekki.
True.
At least is a conservative area. But right now, there are a lot of ocean surge and all that. Water is pursuing people here and there, and a lot need to be done. And if we're able to achieve all these things, we will solve a lot of problems, not just for the environment, but for ourselves, because we will live beyond at least a good age.
Okay, let's look at the Cabotage Vessel Finance Fund, CVFF, that is meant to give ship owners low interest loans so that they can buy ships and maintain their vessels carrying goods within Nigeria, and also with the potential to create about 30,000 jobs. How has it blessed, or how has it helped the ship owners in Nigeria? Is it just on paper, or is it actually maximized? Because looking at River State, where I grew up from the 70s to 80s, even the maritime activities of ships, you don't see them. So you don't see them. Yeah, you don't see them the way they blossom. I know they created jobs. I know my contemporaries and age mates that got jobs in marine, and they were juicy jobs. Whether you were a deckhand, you were a sailor. I had some friends who switched over to learning to become sailors because of the opportunities. But what you find now is wreckage, ship wreckage, polluting our river lines. Is it working, and how can we make it work?
Well, when you talk about this cabotage fund, it's quite interesting, intriguing, and also appalling. And why do I say this? Government has this fund, but it's trapped somewhere.
Where is it
trapped?
Trapped because
Why is it not accessible? What is going on?
Pipeline issue.
It never comes out.
It's
always in a
the
pipeline.
militants started busting pipes.
Exactly.
Their promises
Even in the pipeline.
They needed to find out.
I want to believe that perhaps the funds are large and is huge enough to at least blow up somebody's mind. And if you allow Nigerians to have access to that kind of money, they might use it to go and marry extra wife.
Wow. Okay.
So I think perhaps that is the line, but it is not still correct. Whatever be the case, this present administration under the present minister, they are profiling people to access this fund. They are profiling right now. There is a profiling going on. People have applied, so they are profiling. They are still not come up with any result yet. So I don't know how long it will take them to profile those who will access the fund. But what that fund was meant for is to encourage local shipping business, as in encourage Nigerians to own vessels, to buy these vessels and own them and use them to operate, so that they can employ our multiple seafarers that are jobless. You can employ them, engage them, and they have meaningful life. They live a meaningful life. But we do not see that happening in the previous administration, and even in this administration, the profiling is taking too much time.
Why when you say profiling, is there a certain percentage?
No, I mean applications are being received now, and they are going through them. That is the stage where the cabotage fund is right now.
What if it's just application and they will profile them to another tenure and nothing happens?
Well,
that
I do not know the internal mechanism for the profiling, but right now I know that people have been applying, but I've not heard of anyone that have accessed the fund yet. I've not heard of anyone, either as individual or as corporate body. But to me, the profiling time is too long, because Nigeria do not have a national carrier when it comes to shipping industry. We do not have a national carrier, and that puts us at a disadvantage, because most of the goods emanating from Nigeria need to be transported, and if we have our own national carrier or ships flying Nigerian flag, it will be of great advantage to us as a country. Now our flag will be projected globally, then the maritime image of the country will also be projected globally, and then we have a global recognition. The trust will now come back to Nigeria in terms of maritime. IMO will not even look at us just on category C anymore. Perhaps we might migrate to the next category that will be so sustainable and great for the country. But all these are projects in progress. They are work in progress.
On transit.
How long? So now that we've talked about international relations and our international trade, let me also take you to the maritime strategy and Lunar Charter and EU Blue Economy Synergy that was proposed since 2019. And it has three policies in the blueprint. One, that by 2050, Africa's integrated maritime strategy shall and AU's long-term plan for ocean security and growth will be implemented. Number two, the Lunar Charter in 2016 says that an African Treaty on Maritime Security and Safety Development will be implemented. And then finally, that the AU Blue Economy Strategy 2019 has a roadmap to grow ocean sectors and sustainably together. Now, the idea is that finally Nigeria is looking at raising about $300 billion annually from these international relations. Since we do not have a national carrier to relate effectively in international trade with even within Africa, how can we maximize, how can we play as big boys within that international business realm and make the most for our country?
You see, that is the reason why I said the profiling is taking too long. Supposing they have concluded the issue of profiling and at least kickstart something along that process, this question will not have come up. Nigeria is a signatory to many IMO conventions and treaties and all that ratified. When we come back home, we do not implement them well. The problem is in adoption. How do we adopt those strategies at home? It becomes an issue. Like what you just read out now, I was expecting the ministry to call in people to brainstorm.
They didn't come up with a policy
and then come up with strategies on how to go about it to achieve all these things.
They didn't come up with policy. The NIPSS, the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, came up with a policy, which is a think tank body, projected, that's what they projected our blue economy to get about $300 billion annually into our GDP. So they did that. But the same thing to what we ask. Do you think that maybe this government comes, and which government institution is supposed to, after you have gone, you've held a meeting or decided or whatever, who should take it to the next level, take it to the next level till it gets to fruition?
When policy is only on paperwork,
Yes.
you are not looking at the practicality of those policy. How can it affect lives of people, and how can it be done practically?
Shouldn't the National Assembly be asking questions?
National Assembly
is the executive.
Their own is oversight. Their own is oversight function.
Yes, but they hold it because they approve the budgets for the executive, and part of the oversight function is to hold them accountable that this budget, because before you come to make your futuristic forecast of your expenditure, you're also stating your source. And they say, okay,
yes,
this item we want to spend on, and this source, what happened? Okay, so why did this concept, this beautiful, you said, okay, you're projecting to make about $300 billion from the maritime sector,
yes,
within this period. What happened? So that way, and then holding people accountable. Don't you think that way people is rather than playing politics all the time? On your mandate we stand, rather than stand on the people's mandate.
Well, I have not seen what you just expressed now. I have not seen it happen in Nigeria yet. Even when you call some persons for budget defense, and what they say when you watch on television is appalling. Because how can someone come to present a budget which you don't know anything about? And it means sitting in that office does not make any meaning. And that is what happened around all the sectors, not just one particular sector.
How do you expect someone to, talk about a budget when they are not grounded professionally? They just put them there because of Godfather.
They are professionals there. They will tell you they have professionals.
They have professionals, and perhaps they may not even allow the professional to speak.
Okay.
Yes, because you are the one who holds the office, not the professional.
Not the professional.
Yeah, even if the professional is there, it's at the background.
I can't imagine.
And if you are the boss, you are the one they want to hear from. And that is the problem. That's the problem.
So, Doctor, let's go to another. Let me take you back to the issue of infrastructure.
Yes.
In Nigeria right now, in my conversation with some of the experts within the maritime sector, one key issue keeps coming back, that we don't have enough seaports, whether it's dry seaports or the different categories of ports in Nigeria.
Yes.
But I'd like to hear from you, because sometimes you hear one section of an economy say one thing, and the experts on the other side say a different thing. Do we have, in terms of infrastructure, do we have enough ports in Nigeria to support the drive of the government, even though we've not seen the implementation in terms of the policies, which is also a key critical area that we are lacking?
Yes.
But do we have enough ports in Nigeria to start?
Even dry docks.
I think
all kinds of ports.
I think it's not just having seaport. Do we have a walkable seaport?
Good. I want to ask a question. Functional seaport.
Yeah.
Yeah. For now, we have few functional seaports. And when I say few, I've mentioned Lagos, the ports in Lagos, they are functional.
Right.
Tinkan and
the
Lekki Deep Sea,
which is private. Which is private. But government owned is Tinkan and Apapa. They are functional. And that is the focus of everybody.
What's the standard?
Not really the standard, but just the focus.
Okay.
Because NIMASA said they are doing a case study with Lagos ports, which they are supposed to cascade down to the Eastern Port. And when you talk about the Eastern Port have majority of all the ports. We have Port Harcourt Port, Warri Port, Onne Port, Calabar Port, Koko Port, Sapele Port. You see, it's more in number. How
functional are the ports?
If you look at Sapele Port for now, it's not that functional per se, because the company Nigerite was the one bringing in raw material for their product, but Nigerite is moribund now. So Koko Port is just empty.
It's empty.
Nobody is inactive. Then you look at Sapele Port, the same thing. In fact, it has become a naval base now.
Oh my.
So you see, it's no longer a functional port. It has become a naval base.
It's no longer a seaport. It's not a
naval base.
It's a naval base.
Naval base port.
Then look at Port Harcourt. Yeah, we and Onne Port. Onne Port is a little bit modern, because Port Harcourt Port is over 100 years old. Then Onne is just some few years, maybe 20 something years old. And you can see the difference. New infrastructures, new terminal operators coming in and all that. They are doing their best, at least, to make the port work. But the challenge we have with the Eastern Port generally is the location and localization of those ports.
Explain about
Yes.
that.
Now, the whole of Eastern ports are in the creeks compared to Lagos port.
Okay.
Lagos port is almost in the open sea.
Deep sea.
Yes. The draft is not comparable to what we have here. The waters around here are very shallow. In the creek, they're very shallow. The one that will have compared to Lagos and work well like Lagos is the Ibaka deep sea port. When they complete that project, it will compete with Lagos because it has a good draft that can accommodate no matter what kind of vessel. Now, there are limitations to navigation in terms of peculiarity of this location of the Eastern port. For example, Max Line brought a vessel of 250 and LOA, length overall, about 250 and above. It gives them tough time. And when such vessels are coming, there are extra preparations to be made before you can accommodate that vessel in terms of your towage, in terms of manpower, in terms of pilotage, in terms of, at least for safe maneuvering. It takes much time, considering the narrow channels you have to pass through.
I'm lost here. When you say these other creeks,
Yes.
these other ports, they are in the creek.
Yes.
Given in the 80s and the 70s, they were functional. They were working. So was it not also the creek problem? So why is it stopped working now? Is it time, location, or people in power? It's confusing.
And secondly,
the economy
didn't
particularly.
they do their due diligence to have predetermined or focus to say, look, these are the sizes of ships that will be coming in here, and these are the kind of activities? Or didn't they have a futuristic plan of expansion, knowing that the industry is dynamic?
Yes.
Prepare for it.
Future plan for expansion, yes.
Okay.
But the procedure at which those expansion projects will be carried out is a problem.
Delayed.
Is a problem.
There
There is this Bonny Channel company that's responsible for dredging the waterways in the whole of Eastern Port. But are they working? That is the question. The Bonny Channel company is there, MOU signed, government documents and everything, but are they working?
Which means modernization is now the problem.
It's a problem. And then some of these ports that I mentioned in the Eastern Port have old infrastructures, except the few terminals in Onne that are just coming up newly, that have some workable working gears and all that. You have challenges over there. So apart from being in the creek and the shallow draft, there are other challenges of
bottlenecks,
cargo handling challenges, because equipments are not adequate, and we're just managing. But I pray one day investors will come in, and then they will be able to take up those lives.
When we bring investors in, when they come to meet challenges upon challenges, that in some, I met some, I've discussed with certain people at different levels, and there's one takeaway. Like some of it, let's take power, electricity power in Nigeria. We pray. I've seen churches who said, look, time was. When they want to hold church service, they will pray, NEPA don't take light.
But Mr. President said he's going to give us 24-hour power supply. And also with First Lady Kwili and Akara. Maybe all of this.
If other state can do it, any other state can do it.
Okay, the point is, in Nigeria, what we pray for, even food, in some civilized climes, these things are automatic. You just sleep, wake up, you have it. Now, back to Nigeria. In any business, you must do comparative analysis.
Fact.
Challenges in businesses are universal and natural. But let's compare to countries like Belgium, China, even small Israel, and even Mauritius, even Cape Verde that is doing well in World Cup, 500,000 people. These are organized people who have latest infrastructure. What is it that Nigeria does not understand? That when you establish an industry, you must think about the sustainability and the progress and the growth. Therefore, you must be futuristic and you must be dynamic. You must change with the times. If you go and compare how China runs, China I think is about the biggest seaport, arguably.
Yes.
And the likes of Belgium. If you look at the way they operate, Nigerians go there to buy. Nigeria has international relationship with China. China is one of our biggest partners. What is wrong with the government of Nigeria saying, China, come and let me call it takeover, but not entirely takeover, but come and be a key investor or partner with us to take this thing from this level to this level. Why we still have ownership, we still retain ownership.
We have the major share.
You understand? The whole idea is for excellent service, satisfactory service for all. Because I have some clients who complain their goods land on our seaport. When they import, let's say cars, from where they're importing, no problems. The moment it gets to Nigeria, the problems start.
Drama.
From quacks to fraudsters to delayed process to security, yes, to the relevant officers. Delay in the system, and they will tell you today that they are modernized. It's now faster. But what do the people experience? What is the disconnect that our leaders? Again, even look at Lagos before Mr. President became president, or even after he became president. I've been thinking the state where he came from. What is wrong with Tinkan Island and Apapa Port? That, in fact, before Leti Ifeanyi died, I used to visit him. There is where he used to park his tanker on his way to his what this is capital oil on his way. You see tankers on the road, you see all manner of obstacles, and you ask, is this Nigeria, the biggest black nation, biggest country in Africa? And then you go to other smaller countries, you see their seaports are lovely. Seaports are lovely. You can go there, relax, driving. It's a tourist attraction. But our own is if you get to that point, is hell. Because to go in and to come out
is a problem.
What is wrong with Nigeria? Seaports.
What is wrong with us is paying lip service to investment. That's what is wrong with Nigeria, because this issue of having inadequate infrastructure is not new to government. Government is aware, and every administration, they keep meeting this problem and leaving it unsolved. The commitment to solve the problem is another thing. If we have an administration that is so sincere and committed to solving this problem, it will be solved. It's just a matter of dedication. Okay, we dedicate an aspect of our budget for this period to developing this area. And even if you don't want to use an internal budget, allow private partnership from outside. In fact, there are individuals who own money and they are looking for what to invest their money in. Then you can encourage such people. At least give them some limits, exercise control, let them use their fund. Then you regulate conducive environment. They put up these things. It's not rocket science, like we always say. It is not rocket science. It's just a matter of commitment. Do you think the commitment is not there?
Capitalism is affecting it?
Yes, it is, because when you cartel, if you even cartel in the right way, better. But in this aspect, you are cartelling in the negative way. Negative because what you cartel does not result to anything. So at the end of the day, you lose, the masses lose.
The masses lose because people, that industry is a buoyant industry. That employs anything you do there, literally you prosper. You want to help somebody to carry labor, you prosper. You want to run errands, you prosper. You want to connect people to, everything you do there, that industry is dynamic.
Marine and blue economy, apart from the shipping, which is the utmost that people focus on, there are other allied services that can also generate revenue and employment to people. You see, talk about insurance. Insurance underwriters will have job.
Transportation.
Transport people will have jobs. Then
College.
Everybody will
warehousing.
Even at once, Stevie does. Those skilled and unskilled labor. If you don't go to school, you have a place in the marine and blue economy. If you go to school, you have skill, you have a place in marine and blue economy. You can be a forklift operator, you can be one of the machine operator, and if you don't have any skill at all, you still have a place in the marine and blue economy, at least as a stevedore. And you registering a stevedoring company, having that license, it's a license for you to get something doing and engage Nigerians meaningfully. But how many of such do we have? And how many of them are functional? How many of them are encouraged by the government to put things in place and to solve the problem of Nigeria?
Okay. So
a lot of licenses are just portfolio license.
I hear you.
Now, you mentioned earlier on, which is an information that a lot of Nigerians will appreciate, that ports are no longer an exclusive or on the exclusive.
Yes.
Which means state governments,
even local governments,
and even local governments
yes,
can take these upon themselves to also invest.
Yes.
And we've said, perhaps if there is anything we can all agree with the Tinubu's administration, is that after the very bad decision which Nigerians say, the removal of the fuel subsidy, we have now seen a lot more money going to the state government and the local government. But when Nigerians sit back to look at the aftermath of these huge funds going to the local and the state, we're not seeing the matching infrastructural development. I'll always use Akwa Ibom, because the politics of Ibaka Deep Seaport has been on since the era of Architect Obam Victor has cited it, from the Senate President Godswill Akpabio to Udom Emmanuel, and now Pastor Moino, that political sentiment has been there.
Yes.
During the previous administration, we were told, oh, the politics of negotiations, not wanting any other seaport to come up in the east
we heard
or
that
in the
too.
south, is there. And then later on, we were told, oh, if PDP gains access through Atiku Abubakar during the 2023 elections, then we'll have the seaport. And then the Udomi Manjo's administration ended, and the Moino came in. Prior to his cross-carpeting from the PDP to the APC, the one concern he gave as his reason for cross-carpeting to the APC was so that we can have the seaport.
Okay.
Months after his cross-carpeting, we are still yet to have the seaport. And just when it seems like there's going to be another failure, the same sentiment of the people and the site location is being resurrected. Now, as people have stated, this is not like this issue has not been on ground. So the governor cannot say, oh, I was not aware that the issue of moving this from the right location to a different location was counted by the people. And that as long as you resurrect that kind of issue, we are not going to have success in the Ibaka Deep Seaport, whether you call it Ibaka or Ibom Deep Seaport. At this point in time, take godfatherism away.
Yes.
What would you propose governors, local government chairmen do to change the narrative, particularly within the South-South region? Because we have a lot of these. Sometimes when my mom sits us down and talk about how the Calabar, seaport was working and how Ibaka was a Jamestown where all the ship comes in and go. This is when we did not even do anything as a people to this environment. And then now we have the opportunity to better this environment. And we are playing punky, yankee, hokapuki with the development that should come to the people. And like you rightly stated, at the end of the day, what do Nigerians want? An enabling environment to be gainfully employed.
Yeah.
So that at the end of the day, you have something to take back to your family. But these are the same thing that government official, people we elected, or maybe sometimes because some Nigerians will say, INEC elected them, not us, or the court elected them, are sitting down and refusing development. What would you propose Nigerians do going forward so that we can have people who are thinking in the interest of Nigerians generally and not on how to line their pockets and that of their cronies?
Yes, thank you very much. Even as we are in the era of democracy, and as a politician you find yourself in office, what I think should be the first thing to do is to gather everyone, because Nigeria we do not lack human capital in Nigeria.
True.
We do not lack natural resources in Nigeria.
Very correct.
What we lack is the management of all these two put together. How do you manage the capital and the human resources to give results? That's what we lack.
True.
And we do not really lack that one relatively, because we have people who can do it if they are given the chance. Even if you are not given the chance, you find yourself in office as a politician, why not invite well-meaning Nigerians to come around you, at least brainstorm, proffer solutions, and then look at, I will cite a Bible example, the example in the Bible of Pharaoh and his dream. When he dreamt that he saw 7 fat cows and 7 lean cows, the lean cows end up swallowing the fat cows. All the magicians could not interpret the meaning of the dream until the imprisoned Joseph was brought to the palace. And after Joseph interpreted the dream, the king, Pharaoh, now said, you will be the one to handle the project.
True.
Because the Pharaoh himself found out all the magicians, the chief in council, they do not have knowledge enough to handle the project.
No,
you that interpreted the dream, Joseph, please be the governor. Handle it, do it the way you propose, and let us have the result. And they did have result. 7 years of famine, 7 years of productivity, and 7 years of famine came. But they were able to scale through.
And even support other countries.
And support other countries. Because of appointing the right person to work, to do the job.
No godfatherism.
No godfatherism. And you see, Joseph was not an Egyptian. He is from the far country of Israel. So they do not look at him as a foreigner. They say, just govern this
on performance.
Yes, based on performance and based on what you can do. And he did perform. So that is what our local government chairman, our governors should also emulate. Do the same like Pharaoh. Call in people, well-meaning Nigerians who have knowledge of areas where you have comparative advantage. For example, the Niger Delta region, all the states in Niger Delta have comparative advantage when it comes to water transportation, leisure, coastal ecosystem, what they call it, entertainment. You have a lot to offer to people. People will pay huge sum of money from far north to come down here and see what the coastal environment is like. I've never seen what the mangrove looked like when I was in the north until I came down to Port Harcourt and then traveled to Cross River and part of Akwa Ibom and Delta State. That's where I saw what they call mangrove. I read those in the papers, but I came physically down here and I saw very beautiful environment. But how can we sustain that? Not just for our generation, but even for the future generations to come. So those are the things. Capital, human capital we have, resources we have, but the management of those resources in order to produce results is becoming a problem. And the problem is we must do the right thing at the right time by avoiding godfatherism in whatever we do. Allow professionalism and bring back meritocracy. Whether you are an indigene of River State or not, and you can deliver a job, please let the person work. And that is why people that do not look into, they do not discriminate in their employment, they get their desired results. And I think I call on everybody in Nigeria to emulate that.
Okay. According to Dr. Bashir Jimo, the NEMASA DG, he says that the blue economy will offer about 350 million jobs to Nigerian citizens if adequately harnessed. And then President Tinubu said about 5 million jobs are targeted as part of his promise in the industry. And then 2 million jobs are targeted by the Minister Oyetola. And then 20 million jobs by Professor Martins Aneke Kai of the ministry, expected to mop up about 20 million unemployed people, and so on. All these promises of jobs. Yet there's also another huge report that Africa is missing in that gap of the blue economy and the maritime economy employment. How can Nigeria, because on paper you see this is good, huge, how can they realize this? When talk about our seafarers, talk about our marine police and so on, that are on, they're not, you can't even see their presence. Like just let's take swimming, or even let's take the, what they call it, what she complained about, the piracy.
Yeah,
there are a lot of roles for individuals to play to make the maritime industry, the blue economy to prosper. And when these industries are not well established sustainably, how can they create these jobs for people that they are just telling people? Is it just a cheap political point?
You see, we heard about all these figures, trillions, 2 trillion, 5 trillion, 20 billion, all this on papers. It's not
easy to draft.
It's not, yeah, very easy to draft.
Easy to draft.
It's just a proposal. It's very easy to draft, but it's not tied to performance.
Okay.
It's not tied to performance in any aspect. If you want me to believe this figure now, tell me in shipbuilding, tell me specifically shipbuilding, we will allocate this and we will achieve this, we will employ this number of persons. In marine transportation, we will acquire so number of vessels, we will employ so number of seafarers, and in next 2 years we will multiply this. In the next 3 years, this is what will be the result. Actually, I will understand that. It's tied to performance. Then if you talk about ports, seaports and terminal modernization, this is what and what we are going to invest, this is what we will gain. Those are the things.
Specific
KPIs. Just putting up trillions of dollars on paper just to fascinate your ears, it's not practically done. So that is a gap. They are creating, in fact, making the gap wider.
How do you come out of all of this?
Please, if they can, yes, you answer that question, but if they can't do it, because I know that no one person, like even Lee Kuan Yew or even the what's the man name, the African country you just called his name now, Rwanda.
Yes.
Singapore, talk about China, they bring experts. Even America, Donald Trump that we are praising, he works with experts.
Of course.
What is it that they don't understand? That if they don't know, they can't do it, but they are in charge of the power, they should bring experts and allow them work to achieve. What is it that they don't understand?
Look at the private sector, for example, before I come to the final answer of that. Look at the private sector, for example. A private businessman wants to succeed at all time.
Okay.
And he doesn't want to take excuses. He doesn't want to take excuses. he will appoint you to do the job if knowing that you can deliver
results.
But in the case of government, they do not have that consideration.
It's about loyalty.
Yes, if you are loyal to government, you get yourself there. And when you get yourself there, how can you perform? By that lack of performance, they widen the gap between government and the people.
I get the message.
They widen the gap between government and the people. Government is satisfied, my person is there. But the people are not satisfied, and they keep on to cry. They cry all the time. Now, in this case now, what we need to do, we must bring back meritocracy. We lost that many years ago in this country. Before now, you can be from the south and you work in the north. Or from the north, you work in the south or in the east. We don't have that anymore. Discrimination, it will not serve us well. As far as you are a Nigerian, the law permits you to live and settle in any part of Nigeria and develop yourself and help the society. Not just your family, but the society at large. How can we effectively do that? Until we come back to those basics, then Nigeria will move forward as a people. Then secondly, all the investments and areas we're looking at, what happened to let's come back to River State. What happened to Isaka, the C school there before? The man who brought the C school to life, the concept of C school, he has a focus, he has a mindset on developing workforce, considering the environment. Considering the environment. He say, I will develop seafarers. Let my people have that as an advantage. At least it's an industry that we are familiar with. But go and get the academic aspect of it that will make you more productive. But today, do we still have the Isaka C school?
No, we don't.
The C school is gone. The C school is gone.
And look at all because of change of button.
Now, let me say this. Look at Oron now. You see less of applicants from the southern part of Nigeria. You see more from the north. Because they became more aware of the advantages of what you have, and they want to use it better than yourself. People that are here, go and make census. How many of the southern population that are students in that particular school?
And
you see majority are from the north.
And that brings me to this question. How do we get it right in Nigeria? How do we come back home to the blueprint the way it should be?
And just to add to that, one other concern that is giving birth to what you highlighted today, the lack of people from this side going.
Picking up interest in the area.
Some have interest, but it also comes down to the injustice within the government institutions. I know that during my time as a youth leader in Oron, there were times where people from the area merited the slot to be admitted into Maritime Academy, but they were not given admission. But in the midst of them not being given admission, you find names from the north who are not even qualified, given the same admission.
Let me come this way. As at that point in time, who was the Minister of Transport? Where was he from? And who is the rector of the institution?
They were all from the north.
So then what do you expect? What do you expect?
So how do we get it right?
Meritocracy. Bring back meritocracy to whatever level and whatever sector in this country, then we will get it right.
But you know, if we bring
professionalism will thrive when there is meritocracy.
You know that if we bring it back,
yes,
some politicians will kick against it because they will not benefit, and they are the government of the day.
That's where I'm going to. The place of the national, the assembly at the national, state, and local government level, who are our voices to check what is going wrong, rather than playing politics.
It should be enshrined in our constitution.
Many things are there. Are they observing it?
Then one day somebody will bring it up and say, okay, this is a section of the constitution that said meritocracy will bring in professionalism, and professionalism will give us desired result in this country.
I hope so.
Then the lawyers will begin to quote that and begin to support as evidence to make their claims. But right now, I do not think we have such. I do not think so.
I think I agree with you, because when we have a constitutional backing,
yes,
Nigerians can have a ground to say, look, this person you appointed is not a professional.
It's not.
And here are the constitutional backing for us to fire him.
Exactly.
And we'll have better ground.
Exactly.
So I totally agree with what is stated. Well, I think this is the much we can take. I'd like to ask Dr. Babalola any parting shot advice, particularly targeting Nigerians. And then the other side of Nigerians, the executive, the politicians, what of advice to help us move from where we are to where we are potentially created as a country to be?
Thank you very much. When we look at the issues of our dear nation, Nigeria, because of patriotism, we would like to spend the whole day discussing the issues of Nigeria. But what we want is not just the discussion, but we want results, and we want things to be done in the right way. And what I will want to propose is we should fix round pegs in round holes. Look at the National Assembly, for example, who had the oversight function to carry out both the upper house and the lower house. And you can see some of the committees that were formed, and the chairmen of those committees do not have the knowledge or adequate knowledge on how to preside over those committees. For example, if you look at Committee for Fiscal Allocation and Budget, whatever, you are not a chartered accountant, you are not an auditor, and you are the chairman of that committee.
How do you
monitor? No, not even getting there. You are elected, you are nominated to be. What will you do as the chairman, even when they present things? How will you see what is wrong? How will you see what is wrong? You are not a medical practitioner, and you are heading to go and oversight Ministry of Health.
Agencies and
how would you be productive in that sector? So those are the things we should address. Let professionals handle issues of professionalism, and let people who are there to back them up. What the professional do not see, you that you are not a professional, look at it and bring it up. Then by doing so, we will move forward as a people. And then Nigerians, fellow Nigerians, we need to be patient. Fellow Nigerians, we need to be patient.
I think I was thinking we have an award for being patient and tolerating.
We need to be patient.
At the point we are the happiest people on earth. That's what hope we are going to.
And you see, I love Nigeria for one thing. You see, whatever you do, it becomes something they can create content out of it. And it brings about, yes, it's fun.
Let's say because we decide to be happy.
Yes,
you decide to be happy.
Of course. Our choice of being happy should not be deterred by anything, because that will keep us going as a people. And that is the nature of Nigerians, and that's why they love us all over the world.
My pattern would be adverse to yours. I beg to differ. That yes, we have. Even lawyers have said it. We have beautiful laws. Our constitution is packed with a whole lot of do's and don'ts. I'd like to quote Oded Mogubia SAN that laws don't work themselves. Invariably, they are dead without people. We, the people, acting them, implementing, enforcing them. And justice doesn't work to you if you don't ask for it.
Yeah.
Okay. So, for me, talk about financial, like you pointed out, the Financial Expenditure Procurement Act and all that. They are still there, but there are reports of politicians still looting our funds, still spending monies, getting rich questionably, and here the state is willing to ask them how somebody that you knew grew up from the same locale with you. You know their father, know their mother, so they went to primary school, secondary school, and you even worked with them. Suddenly they are big, they are richer than the whole state, and nobody is asking how. You understand? So it's about selective justice, it's about sacrifice, it's about elitist state capture. And until we stop that and rule by principles, common values, in fact call it rule of law, we will never get it right in this country.
And also Nigerians, it's high time you hold your government accountable. And do stay away from godfatherism, because it will be a time when godfatherism will not be the act of the day. What will you do as a politician?
Well, the era of being the SA, the PA to the SA to the PA of the SA to a politician should be a thing of the past. To the present generation, we owe a duty to ensure that we change the narrative, because if we do not change the narrative, then we are going to be the biggest victims, and we might not have anything to hand over to our children, and that is one of my greatest concern and worry. Our fathers handed things over to us. What will we hand over to the coming generation? That is where we'll leave it. Our guest this morning has been Dr. Babalola James Olatunde, business educator and entrepreneur, and of course an expert in the marine and blue economy. Thank you once again, Doctor, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
And of course, on behalf of the team, Emma,
Have a great day.
and Barrister Christine.
Do have a lovely day.
This is where we draw the curtain. See you same time, same station tomorrow for yet another interesting edition of CEMTV News Surgery. I remain Francis. Edit. Bye for now.